Oh, welcome back, Gems, to another wonderful episode of the Grateful Gem podcast. I am your host, Jasmine Shannelle, and I can't wait for you to hear today's topic. Gems are definitely going to be dropped, so make sure you tune in and stick around. Let's get into it. I don't know what it is that you're facing, of course. I don't know what it is that, may look familiar to you. What is your pregnancy situation or miscarriage situation in your life that, is hindering you from moving forward and hindering you from moving forward in a good way? A lot of times we don't really know that we're not healed in that area. So God has to take us back down that road to show us that, hey, there's room for improvement in some areas. You can do a little bit better. Like, to show us that, okay, I still kind of struggle in this area, because why I said I'm healed or I said I'm over it, why do I feel, so bothered by it? Why am I upset about it? Or, whatever the outcome is. Or why am I doubtful? Why am I fearing? If I say, I'm healed, I know that I am worthy. I do deserve this. God is going to bless me. I can have this. Like, why do I have imposter syndrome if this is where I'm supposed to be? And I know another thing for me is I want to do a new venture in my life, career wise, and I'm afraid because of the fact that I've taken big steps out in faith for businesses and even relocating to a new city. And I feel like they didn't work out, Even though, leaving for Atlanta, it was a great experience. I feel like it could have been better. But the craziest thing is I prepared myself for that. I saved my money, I got a job, and that was that. I went out, I had fun. I lived my life. I loved Atlanta. I still want to go back. Y'all know that. But I don't know, I think about how I want to start this new career path, and I get afraid because I think about all the times that I stepped out and started this business, but it didn't take off. And I had the ideas and I had the content and I had the experience, and it just didn't work out. So I think about how much money I wasted, and I prayed about it before I did it. I feel like God said, okay, if this is what you want to do, go ahead. And I did it. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, the devil is busy. I have never yarned this much in my life. But I'm going to keep recording, so excuse the yarning. But I don't know. I just, like I said, it feels so familiar, right? And I feel like that's the word for you. It feels familiar. You've seen this before. You felt this way before, right? Because sometimes attached with memories, we have mixed feelings. So it's like, okay, I know, like, I used to have this feeling, like, when I was younger, I used to get this sour taste in my mouth and this, like, yucky smell around me when something was going to annoy me. Like, if I could tell y'all how many times that smell and that little taste has gotten me through, like, I remember I was on a school bus one day coming home from school, and all of a sudden we get down to, like, the street where my school bus stop is, and all of a sudden I just felt so sick. Like, I felt sick to my stomach. I had this nasty little sour smell and this sour taste in my mouth, and I was like, something is about to annoy the heck out of me. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but something is gonna get on my nerves. And so the whole bus ride, I'm just like, that is so funny. Like, I just got this out of nowhere. Like, I don't even understand. I don't even understand, how it literally happened. Like, as soon as we turned the corner to go down the street. But I ended up getting to the bus stop, and this guy that I used to talk to, I was walking home, and I ended up seeing him. And he had a daughter at this time, but the crazy thing is, me and him was talking, and he had a whole girlfriend and then he got her pregnant. And I'm walking home from school. I'm in high school at this point. He's already graduated. But I'm in high school, a senior, and he sees me and he's like, "Hey, Jasmine, how are you?" And so I'm ignoring him because I'm like, dude, I know good and well you is not talking to me. And so I keep walking and he's like, "This my daughter." And in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's your daughter that you had while me and you were supposedly talking or dating. Like, what the heck are you saying?" And so, and so it was like, soon as that happened, like the smell and the taste went away. And I was like, yep, this was it. This is what was going to annoy me. And so I think about that when I think about, relating to things that have happened in the past that come back, and you get like this moment like, oh, this isn't going to be good, or fearful, and just remembering how it happened before. But I am here to tell you that even if it's coming back again and it may look the same, it may feel the same, it may seem the same, smell the same, it may be the same, but the outcome is different. I don't know what you're going to walk out of this journey with, but I do know that God is not going to bring you around it or through it again to have you hurt again. He's going to take you through this for a reason. And the biggest thing that you can do while you're going through this again, or it's approaching you, is to just change your mindset. And I really felt like I should have did that when I got pregnant. I shouldn't have said, okay, this is going to end in a miscarriage. This isn't going to work out. It's just, I don't know. And the craziest thing about all of that was I not only had feelings towards like just my baby, like me losing him or him having issues or me just ended up miscarrying. I also had feelings that his dad was just like flip script on me, And so I feel like he didn't flip script on me. I feel like he asked relevant questions that should have honestly been asked, but he most likely should have known the answers to those questions. However, I can't get mad for him asking, But there was times where I felt like, oh, he's just going to leave me. He's going to disappear. Like, he's not going to be a part of his son's life. He's going to try to act like this ain't his baby. Like, because that's how my ex was when I found out I was pregnant. Like, he did all this stuff. And so I was just like, not only am I stressing about being pregnant and my baby, but I'm stressing about this guy leaving me. Me and him didn't have a plan because I told him that I told him literally the whole time we were dating, I did not want kids. And I guess he just didn't take that serious, but I don't know. And even when I got pregnant, I told him, I was like, we talked about this every year that we were together. We were together now up in 7 years on and off. So I'm just like, dude, I told you. At that time, it was like, 5 years on and off? And I was like, I've been telling you this for years. These are conversations that we have. And you still don't believe me. Like, I did not want kids. But I love my baby boy. He's such a blessing. However, this is not about just me being pregnant. It's about the journey and fighting off skeletons. And the crazy thing is, I had a dream about my ex, and one of my friends that I'm very close with now was in a dream. And I remember waking up and telling my homegirl about it, because I was like, this is so weird, because I'm like, my friend has never, she knows about him, because when I first met her, we had like a heart to heart, and I kind of broke down and I told her about it. And I don't know why I just trusted her enough to tell her with that information, because I had told her before I had even told like any of my closest friends, because I was so ashamed, I just felt like people wouldn't believe that happened to me. And people just, sometimes it can be cruel, but I just confided in her and told her. But anyways, I had a dream about my ex that I was pregnant from and miscarried. And I had a dream about this friend. She was in a dream, and the dream was just so weird. Like, we were at, I'm assuming, like my place of business. And we were at like this, I would say like networking event. And so he was there. And I was just like, why is he at my job? Like, this is crazy. And my friend was there. And I'm like, well, what is she doing here? Because she does not work in this field. like in real life. Like, I was just like, when I can have a vivid dream and wake up and remember everything, I literally take it to heed. Like, I take it to memory, because I'm like, there is a reason why I remember this dream from start to finish. Now, the ones I can't remember, I'm not waking up trying to figure out, okay, what happened? If I can't remember, it ain't meant for me to remember. So we're at this gathering, and I run into him, and he sees me, I see him, and so he walks up to me, and he's like, "Oh, Jasmine, how are you?" We're talking, and so I'm like, "Oh, let me introduce you to my friend, my really good friend." And so I introduced him to her, and which I thought was crazy, because like I said, she knows what happened. So it's like, girl, why would you introduce him? And so I introduced him, and then the dream like skips around, and the next scene is like, we're at, again, my place of business, and I'm working for this person that's just like absurd. And my friend's just like, "Oh, you need to get that in control, da da da, you need to figure it out, because he's here, and da da da." And so I ended up having all these mixed feelings about this guy, and I couldn't understand where they came from, because I was like, "Oh, I thought I dealt with that. Like, why are these feelings coming up? Like, why do I feel this way about this person, about something that I thought I was healed from?" And like, my friend was being like really, really controlling in the dream, and I was just like, "Well, what does this mean?" And so when I woke up the next day, I told my friend about it, and I ended up figuring out what it was. It was the fact that I feel like I'm probably gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna come in contact with this person soon, or if he's gonna cross my path ever again. But I do feel like my friend was a sign of, the controlling was a sign of, I need to get control of my feelings and acknowledge the fact that I have not healed, and I need to fully do everything in my power to correctly heal. Because if I do cross his path, I don't want it to be awkward. I don't want it to be like I said, I have all these mixed feelings. Like, I feel this ill way towards you, right? And so the next day, something says, go see if you can find this person. So I find his social media handle or whatever, and the craziest thing, like, he's in the industry that I want to change over to. So immediately my thoughts are like, okay, this is weird. So I'm like, well, maybe once I do take this career path, that some way, somehow, I'm going to end up crossing paths with this guy. So I feel like this dream was a warning that I need to really get my feelings in control and heal, so that I don't step on my own feet, because I don't know how he's going to be attached to my career. And so it's just like, when I see that he's in the same field that I'm in, I thought that was crazy. I was just like, mind blown. Like, this is crazy. But I said all that to say, you never know how someone or something from a situation in your past will connect to your future. So you have to take time and do inventory on the things that you need to work on. And like I said, here I was years later, not even knowing that I wasn't healed. I still struggle with forgiveness in myself, forgiveness to him, and forgiveness that, it was out of my hands, that this was God's plan. And I realized that after I got pregnant again. And so I don't want this to be your situation. I don't want you to say, "Oh, well, I thought I healed, but then, I flipped out because, this thing came around again and I obviously haven't healed." Or, something happened to where it's just like, okay, I'm too afraid to move forward because I'm too reminded of how I did that the first time and it failed. And I'm too afraid to step out again on faith. Just like I said, with my business, I've done the interior design business, and that didn't go anywhere. I moved to Atlanta to advance my interior design business, but that didn't happen. Just a lot of things. So now it's just like, I feel like this next career could be I really feel like I would do really successful here. However, because it looks too familiar, like starting something new, it looks too familiar. And it's like, okay, if I do this and it doesn't work, my life is dependent on it, because at the end of the day, I have a son now, and I can't make decisions just based off of what I feel or me thinking that it's going to work. I need to 1,000% trust that this is what God is going to have me do. And so in that, I miss what God's telling me because I'm so far ahead overthinking, like, okay, well, that can't be. God can't want me to take that kind of risk, right? Because I'm a mom now. Like, I have a baby to think about, and me playing with my career is not it. But I just wanted to encourage you and tell my business. I think about too, all of these episodes, and I probably said this before. I'm at a point where I say things and I tend to repeat myself. However, if you've heard this before, just don't pay me no mind. But all of these things that I talk about on my podcast are situations that I've personally gone through. It's not me living the life of somebody else telling you these things happened and they didn't, or telling you that, oh, I heard my friend went through this thing and this is what she did to get through it. This is me actually putting my personal life, rather, not business, but my personal life, personal situations out to just give you hope, to let you know that God loves you, man. God is real. He has your back. And I know that sometimes it may not seem like that, it may not seem that He has your best heart in mind, but He does. He cares about you. He loves you regardless. Even if you don't know Him yet, He still loves you. He still tries to get your attention. And I think about now how ignorant I was when I was younger, because I've always had a relationship with God. However, I've put myself in so many situations where I could have died, something seriously could have happened to me, and I took it for granted. And now I'm older and I know better, so you do better, right? So that's what this is. It's for me to tell you guys the mistakes or the trials and journeys that I went through, how I got through them. But for one, to let you know that God was with me the whole way, and I never lost sight of the bigger picture with Him. Yeah, I may have fell, but I always got up. And at times where I wanted to stay down, I couldn't, because God kept telling me, you're better than this, you're capable. So whatever you're facing right now, just know that God is with you. He will guide you. Just seek Him. Pray to Him for guidance. Ask Him for clarity. Ask Him for understanding. And don't be afraid to ask Him to reconfirm the things that you're believing Him for, that He will provide. Again, this is my journey, but my journey won't look like yours. And that's what a lot of people, I think, they get kind of sidetracked, because people they hear something like, oh, God blessed her this way, or God blessed him that way, so God's going to do it for me that way. He's not. God's going to do it different, because we're all unique. But is He going to bless you? Definitely. Is He going to provide a way? Yes. Is He going to continue to seek after your heart even if He doesn't have it? Yes. But it's not going to look the way it looked for me, because you're not me and I'm not you. And so I just wanted to tell you guys that, because I know sometimes people get lost in other people's situations. Sometimes we take other people's situation and we turn it into our own. And so we think that something bad happened to them, something's bound to happen to me, because we think that that's just the way life works. And that's not always how life works. I remember just saying that same thing about a lot of things. Like, with things happen to my friends, things that happen to my family, I'm like, oh well, I gotta be next. Like, it's just a domino effect. Her life messed up, not my life messed up. But you have to have a positive mindset, and just know that whatever you're facing, you will get through it. Even if you've seen it before, it's not the same. You're gonna come out stronger. You're gonna come out wiser. And if you have to go through it again, and I also remember this. If you feel like you're in a season of your life where it's just like, I keep going through the same thing over and over, God keeps showing me the same thing, or I cannot get past this, I don't know why this keep happening to me, then you need to take a step back and say, okay, what is God trying to show me? Because I literally remember sitting here one day saying, I just feel like my life is a big circle. I go forward and I go back, and then God removes it all, then He gives it back. And I learned that God is always just testing my faith, because I am very weary with my faith. Even though I know God's going to show up, even though I know that God loves us and He's going to provide for me, He's going to make a way out of the way, because He's done it before, I have to continue to trust Him. But when it gets to a point that I can't see how it's going to work and I have no idea what's going on, I start doubting. I start worrying about what it looks like. I take my focus off of him and put it on what's in front of me. And don't make that mistake. Continue to look towards him and ask him for his presence, because he will provide it. He will give you the guidance that you need, and you will make it. So I hope that I know I went on like a long rant, but I told you all those things just to let you know to do an inventory. Check your heart. Check your hurt, your scars, your wounds. Like, where are you hurting that you're trying to cover? God can't bless who you pretend to be. So in order for you to come clean with who you really are and what you're really facing, God will have you go through it again. And if you keep failing, you have to keep going through the test. You have to ask yourself, why am I continuously failing this test? What is God trying to show me? And so in that moment, just try to do better. Ask God, how can I get through this? What am I lacking to move forward? So I really hope that this podcast episode has blessed you. I hope that you continue to shine as the gem you are, and that you continue to know that you are loved. God loves you, and you are enough. You're capable to get through whatever is facing you head on. You will defeat it, because God has overcome the world. God's on your side. So who can stand against you? Nobody. But I will see you guys, or talk to you guys, on the next episode. Bye. Are you loving this episode? Great. Don't forget to leave your feedback by rating and leaving a review on Apple iTunes. Also, don't forget to subscribe anywhere, wherever you're listening to this podcast. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram to keep up in the know of what's going on with the podcast. Okay, let's get back to the episode. Oh, what's up, gems? I am so excited that you are here playing this episode today. I can't wait to get into the topic. So let's go. Today's topic is going to be about skeletons, or AKA your past. You know how people say the skeletons in your closet, they tend to fall out. So that's what I want to talk about today. And the reason I say I want to talk about that is because a lot of things have been coming up from my past, and not in a bad way, but just showing me that I haven't healed in areas that I thought I had healed in. I thought that I was over these things. I felt better about it, but when I'm presented with the situation again, the outcome is the fact that I'm actually not over it. So, for instance, when I got pregnant, I was just in a negative mindset, in a negative space, because I had a miscarriage back in 2014, 2015, and that was traumatizing for me, right? A lot of people don't know that, the closest people that I know that, but it was traumatizing. I stressed myself out. The guy that I was dating at that time, or, involved with at the time, he didn't make it any better. And not 80% of, me having a miscarriage was the stress that he put on me, and 10% was the stress I put on myself. And, no, let me rephrase that. 80% was the fact that I just wasn't supposed to have a baby with this guy. 10% was the stress that he put on me, and then the other 10% was just the stress I put on myself. And so in that moment, I just felt like, how could I allow this person, because I wasn't aware of that 80% back then, right? I wasn't aware that this is just God telling me, no, this is not the route. This is not the way. We're not going to do this. And this has to happen. Yes, it hurt, but I want you to get through it, and I want you to heal, and I want you to move forward. I don't want you to give up. But I had decided after that happened that I wasn't going to have kids anymore. I didn't want kids anymore. I love kids, but I was just like, I don't want to ever have to be put back in this situation ever, to where I'm not strong enough to fight. Like, I felt like I had been beaten up so bad that I let my baby die because I didn't have any energy in me to fight. because I was confused. And I was confused because it's like, okay, we had talked about this if it happened, and and it's crazy because it's like in your head you have this plan, like, okay, if it does happen, this is what we're going to do, XYZ. And then when it happens, the story or the whole plan just flips. So I was more so just disappointed. I was hurt. And then it was just stuff that just took me out. But I didn't have to be faced with that issue again, because I had told myself, like, I'm not ever putting myself back in a situation where I allow this to just overtake me. And here I am in 2020, pregnant. Whew, excuse me, y'all. But here I am, come up in 2020, and of course we're in 2021 now, but in 2020 I was pregnant, found out I was pregnant, and from that moment, it's like my mind just paused, and I immediately went back to what happened to me in 2014, 2015. And so that's just how my whole pregnancy was up until like the last little piece, up until like probably January. I had my son in March, so up until January, I kind of shifted my mindset and just said, okay, it is what it is, but every day I worried about, is my baby healthy? Is he okay? Why am I so sick? Why is he so small? Is he going to be okay? It was just a lot of back and forth, a lot of the things that I dealt with when I was pregnant, and it overwhelmed me. There was times where I would just sit and just, do you ever think about something and it overtakes you, like you get overwhelmed and then you just start crying? That's how it was. Aside from just being emotional and everything, that's what happened. There was moments where I would just sit and cry because I felt like I'm not going to be able to have this baby. For one, to be honest with you guys, at one point I was like, God, I can't even have kids. Like, I'm never going to have a child. I'm never going to have a family. Like, what am I here for, And so when I got pregnant, it was just like, wait, what? Because I had told myself, after I had a miscarriage, I told myself, you can't have kids. Like, you can't do this, because that's what it felt like, because I had lost a baby. But in reality, it was the fact that, it just wasn't time for me to have a baby, and it wasn't with the right person. And so, like I said, that was in 2014, 2015. And here I am, years later, still struggling with that. And the crazy part is, I didn't even know I was struggling with it, because I thought I had healed in that area, right? I thought I had forgiven myself, forgiven that person, and just let it go. But it was not until I was pregnant again, having those same thoughts, feeling that same way, regretting, decisions, and just questioning everything that happened because of something that happened years ago. And so the reason I stated all of that is to ask you, what is coming up in your life that looks familiar and it's causing you to be fearful? It's causing you to doubt. It's causing you to question yourself, and what is it that you're doing wrong? And I just want to encourage and challenge you to let you know that you're not doing anything wrong. We all make mistakes. We're human. However, sometimes you have to go through that thing again to really know if you have healed correctly, to really know if you have done everything that you need to do to heal, right? So I was talking to people about how I felt, to the people that I trust. Like I said, a lot of people don't know this happened. And they probably will never know unless they play this episode. But, I took the steps, counseling, talking to people about how I felt. Me and him never talked again. But I told myself that if I see him, that I would not feel a type of way. It is what it is. I respect myself for being humble in that moment and handling things the way I did. And to be honest, I don't know if that was true. I don't know if I came to a point where we were in the same building, but we never crossed paths. And I kind of got anxiety because I was just like, like, I didn't think I was going to like just spaz out if I saw him, but it was just like the thought of him, like, why are we in the same room? Like, you don't deserve to be in the room where I'm at. Like, If we being serious, that's how I felt. But it was just, I don't know. So I remember, sorry you guys, I don't know, every time I get ready to record my episode, something happened. Like the devil's just trying to keep me off focus. But this episode is coming out, so excuse my yawning. But I remember thinking, like, while I was pregnant, like, the whole pregnancy, I just kept saying, I can't believe I'm still struggling with this. Like, I healed. Why am I still stressed? I should be happy about this pregnancy. I should be thanking God, for my baby. I should be thanking Him and know that He's going to keep me protected, right? But that was not the reality. And I remember there were, like, several things that happened, that has happened recently in my life that looks a lot like a lot of things that happened in my past. And instead of having a different mindset about some of those things, I had the same exact mindset I did when it happened. There I go again, yarning. I'm telling y'all, the devil is busy. But I had the same mindset that I did back then. Fearful, worried, stressed, overwhelmed. Like, just all of those feelings of, how am I going to do this? What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm a failure? What if it's just like what happened the first time? Like, it looks too familiar. It looks familiar. But I feel like we're in a season where God is saying, I'm taking you back down this path to show you that this time you have a different outcome. And you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to worry. You don't have to feel overwhelmed or anxious about the outcome, because this time you're going to do it with me. I'm going to guide you, and you're going to have my full support in whatever it is that you're doing.